Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to tell you 2 things that you should do before you start your garden. So stick around. There's 2 things that you should do before you start your garden. I'm standing here in front of mine, back here, and I'll go over everything that I have in a minute. But the first thing you should do is figure out where you want to put it. In my case, I put it down in the flattest part of my yard, which may or may not have been a good idea. I've got the tree over here that was much smaller than when we first started, but I also only started with 1 box and not the 3 that are back here, plus a couple more. One thing that I did figure out as time went on is that I don't get enough morning sun because of the tree, which that's going to go through some drastic renovations in the spring. I got to trim up some of the branches and see if that helps, because it affects anything that I plant in the far box back there. So again, the first thing you should do is figure out your placement. You want a spot that gets at least 10 hours of sun. That usually covers just about anything that you would plant. And in my case, that covers my tomatoes, peppers, and anything else. Let's take a look at the garden here, and then I'll tell you the second thing that you should do before you start your garden. So here's my garden. We put this in, the original garden was back, well, doesn't look like we're going to be able to get in there. Still have some snow on the ground. Oh, it is what it is. The garden originally started with this box right here. It was a single box, planted some peppers and tomatoes and lettuce, and had a fence around the box to keep the deer out. There's plenty of deer that come here, as you can tell by that right there. So we had 1 box turned into a much larger garden. This is roughly 16 by 22 in total area. Put the fence up, got some old screen print frames we got from a local school and put those together and use that for vegetables. Lettuce goes in the middle one. We plant some cucumbers in where that you see the trellis. And then there's a box buried back there. Somewhere there is the other box. We put up these trellises here that unfortunately have gone through some renovations because of some branches that fell off of a different tree, and that actually wore the boxes out much sooner than what I thought. But they worked really well for the beans. The beans did really good right here. This whole thing was filled up with beans, and that's really what brings me to my second and most important tip when it comes to starting your garden is you want to be able to have fun. Don't make your garden so big that it's too hard to manage. Start small. I started with 1 box, and then I created a much larger space because I wanted to plant more plants. Sometimes I try to plant too much in the space that I have, but I think if it was bigger, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. And get your family involved. If you have kids, get the kids in the garden, let them play in the dirt. Mine started a couple years ago. My son would help me take out all the plants at the end of the year. And last year, my daughter started helping, and they're really good at picking the tomatoes off the plants. My daughter hasn't figured out yet that when they're green tomatoes, like, you should leave them on. So that's something that we're working on. But again, you want to have fun. If it becomes a chore, then you're not going to enjoy it. And quite honestly, for me, this is fun. I enjoy it. You can see all this wood here. I'm going to rebuild the fence. That's going to be a fun project with my son. He's going to help me out in the spring, and we'll get this fence fixed up. Much like I like taking care of my yard, I like taking care of my garden. Quite honestly, when January rolls around, January 1st, I tell my wife, hey, guess what season it is? It's garden season. And then I start getting my seeds together and figure out what I want to do. So that's what makes it fun. That's something that you can do. And the other thing that you want to keep in mind is that you don't have to grow from seed. It's okay to buy plants from your nursery. You don't have to start everything from seed. When I first started, I didn't buy anything from seed. I went to the local nursery, bought the plants that I wanted, and put them in the ground. Then one year for Christmas, my wife got me a seed starting kit, and so it became my annual tradition now to get my seeds out and start them from seed. In an upcoming video, I'll show you how I start my pepper plants from seed. Let me know if you have fun with your garden, and if you have anybody that helps you when you're in there, that makes it more fun and enjoyable. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.